All right, let's start with the LSU practice today. We got a chance to go out there on this Friday morning to see LSU work out. First time in 3 days we had seen them. Tomorrow, big scrimmage day for LSU. So today, I think it's very, very fair to call what we watched a walkthrough. It was not. There were some one-on-ones. There was some 7-on-7, but LSU did not have shoulder pads on. The only position group that had shoulder pads on were the wide receivers to obviously help with catching the football. Everybody else was just in helmets. And even Garrett Nussmeier, who was out there fully participating in practice, was not throwing the football. He threw a little bit in the first couple of drills that we watched, but when they got to the 7-on-7, when they got to the one-on-ones with the wide receivers, tight ends, corners, and safeties, and then we got to the 11-on-11 at the very end. Garrett Nussmeier did not throw the football. He didn't even throw the ball when they were working on throwing the ball to the little targets as just quarterbacks. They were clearly giving Garrett a day to rest his right arm, and that's understandable at this point in camp. Garrett Nussmeier's got a lot of reps under his belt in practice time. He's a fifth-year senior. He's got a year starting under his belt, as you're well aware, and don't need him to go through every single rep every single day throwing the football as much as you have to in fall camp. So Garrett got a bit of a day off today. He'll be a full go tomorrow. A couple of absences that were very notable out there today. Jordan Gilbert, not at practice with the safeties. Chris Hilton, not at practice with the wide receivers, but they had a pretty solid excuse. Both those two received their degree today, so congratulations in order for Jordan Gilbert and Chris Hilton. Those two were not at practice today. And then one more kind of attendance note. Whit Weeks was at practice today, did not participate at all. He did not have his helmet with him. He was walking drill to drill with the linebackers, had his number 40 jersey on, but was not going through drills. I don't have any reason to believe that's a significant setback. It may just be a veteran day off for Whit Weeks, who obviously went through the injury, missed the whole spring. He was on a bit of a pitch count early in camp. There was one day we went out there in the first week that he didn't participate. We talked to his brother West a couple of days later and said, yeah, just every once in a while they ask him to kind of shut it down, not overdo things. So I don't think anything of significance there with Whit. This is just one day that you could give some guys off because the reps were not intense, I would say. Even there was a 7-on-7 period that we watched, which was the first team offense led by Michael Van Buren against a defense that was scout team, and it was pretty clearly three-quarter speed. They were just kind of looking through reads, looking through windows, letting Van Buren throw the ball. It was a step up from a walkthrough today out there at LSU, but I still found that there were some interesting notes that I pulled from practice. DJ Chester and Paul Mbenga are still very much rotating on the offense. And outside of the wide receivers, who there are 6 or 7 guys you want to get action to, and there are only 3 to 4 spots at a time, those guys are clearly rotating, but nobody else is rotating. Nussmeier's clearly the guy. Caden Durham's clearly the guy. Tyree Adams clearly the guy. Braylon Moore, Josh Thompson, Weston Davis clearly the guys. You see out at tight end, Bauer Sharp and Trades Green, one or the other, but sometimes both on the field. That is all, it appears to me, to be set in stone. Left guard's not. They are competing, and you can take from that whatever it is that you want to take from that, but they are rotating liberally. Like, they both got about 50%. We saw DJ Chester get the majority of the first-team reps a lot early in camp, and I would say over the last 4 or 5 days, you've seen a shift towards closer to 50-50, and I think that's a message to both players. Hey, DJ, like, I know that you started last year. I know that you got most of the first-team reps at left guard early in camp. It's not just yours. And to Paul Mbenga, hey, like, you're in this mix. I know you spent most of early in camp with the twos, but you've got an opportunity to start, so keep working. And both of those guys are rotating at this point at left guard. Another thing, as far as the quote-unquote depth chart goes, the rotation goes, however you want to term that, that is obvious to me, with Whit Weeks out today, Tylan Singleton played alongside West Weeks. It's obvious now. This is not just one day or a couple of drills, or this is evident. They believe Tylan Singleton can help. They think right now at the inside, you've got Whit Weeks, West Weeks, Devon Keys, and Tylan Singleton. Those 4 are very much the top 4 on the inside. And I think if West Weeks or Whit Weeks got dinged up, had to miss a little bit of time, I think they feel like Tylan Singleton is ready to go. Now, it makes sense because he and Keys are the 2 sophomores, second-year players, I should say, I guess. And then you got 5 freshmen, and then you got the big-time upperclassmen and Whit and West Weeks in front of them. But still, I could see a situation if you didn't feel good about those younger linebackers, about Keys or Singleton, it would be perfectly reasonable for Blake Baker, if Whit or West Weeks went down, to move Harold Perkins inside and go with somebody else at star. Maybe Jordan Gilbert, maybe, Charles Ross, maybe Tamarcus Cooley. Like you could shuffle those deck chairs if you wanted to. I think they believe Tylan Singleton is ready to help. He looks the part physically. He has made some plays in camp, especially in the pass rush portion of some 11-on-11s. And he is in there with the ones today alongside West Weeks instead of Devon Keys. And I don't think that's an indictment on Keys, who I know they're high on. I think they're every bit as high on Tylan Singleton. So that was a very, very good thing to see today as well. And then I thought that one set of drills, I may be overreacting to this. I will cop to that. Like, I don't think I am, but it is possible. I'll leave that door open. I have watched them now a lot over the course of a full practice. And one of the things that they consistently work on, probably 3 out of 4 days that we're out there, is a period of quick game, of screen work, of now screens, of tight end screens, of different ways to snap the ball and get rid of it immediately. And today we saw a little bit of that as well. I noticed a couple of formations, and this was actually not with the first-team quarterbacks. There was a walk-on quarterback going through this drill with some of the first-team pass catchers. The other quarterbacks were over doing some accuracy drills on the other side of the field. So it wasn't like they were doing it full-on with the entire team, but they were making sure that the wide receivers and tight ends knew how to rep it. And there was one play where they had trips to the right, 3 wide receivers, and they motioned Xavier Thomas back into the backfield and then immediately snapped it when he got back there, and he went right back to where he was with the 2 other wide receivers still left on that side of the formation blocking. It was just a way to draw the defense to the middle of the field and then get him on the perimeter and go quickly. That's something you would do to help out your offensive line, get the ball to your playmakers very quickly. There was also a play where Bauer Sharp was on the left side of the formation. The entirety of the wide receiving corps was on the right side of the formation. They sent Bauer Sharp in motion to the right side of the field. He never stopped. The ball was snapped as he crossed the other tackle, and he just went to block as they threw a quick now screen out to the wide receiver, which I think was Kyle Parker in that rep. So just different plays, different schemes, different motions, different formations to immediately get the ball out to the perimeter to these wide receivers that are so talented. And I told y'all earlier this week that in the practice we saw over the weekend, you saw LSU work an entire period on just all screens. They involved Trey'Dez Green and Bauer Sharp in those screens. They involved Chris Hilton and Xavier Thomas in those screens. Certainly we know Aaron Anderson is involved in those. They are spending a lot of time, in my estimation, and again, we haven't spent a lot of fall camps out there for the entirety of it. So what I'm telling you is things that I'm seeing for the first time, not necessarily things that are being done for the first time. But I'm connecting dots here, and I think they're reasonable dots to connect. That LSU is going to do some things, especially in the Clemson game and then early in the season, to help their offensive line. I don't think we're leading you astray to suggest that there are times where the offensive line struggles. I'm not here telling you it's a disaster. I'm telling you there are times where they struggle. And so when you see that, it's good coaching to go, okay, if we see that in a game, what can we do to help? That's coaching. And at this point, they're working a lot of screens because screens make a lot of sense. These offensive linemen that LSU has are very athletic. Tyree Adams and Weston Davis can really move. Braylon Moore can really move. And I think it makes a lot of sense to get those guys moving down the field with the talented receivers you've got and the tight ends you've got that can catch the ball and move up the field. You don't have to hit 65-yard plays on screens, but if there's a free 8 there, absolutely. And so I noticed that part of practice that was being done in kind of a walkthrough manner to make sure timing was right, to make sure assignments looked right, and to make sure they were all on the same page. And so I appreciated that. The last thing for practice today, and this is a subjective observation on my part, not an objective one like, oh, there's Tylan Singleton working with the first team. That would be objective. There he is. This is subjective on my part. I thought Michael Van Buren had a nice day today. I told you Garrett Nussmeier took the day off from throwing. Van Buren worked a lot with the ones. He threw some one-on-one routes. He threw some 7-on-7s, part against the scout team, part against the the first team defense in 7-on-7, and I thought he looked good. He started the 7-on-7 period with a nice ball right across the middle to Xavion Thomas, who caught it and turned it up the field. I thought he did a nice job of hitting Trey'Dez Green on an out route at one point. He threw a nice seam route to Bauer Sharp against the scout team that was right on the money. One of the highlights against the scout team on 7-on-7, and I don't even know if this is a full-speed drill, but he threw one that was just a go route down the left sideline. And Jelani Watkins was the receiver intended. And as it was in the air, I go, oh, that's well overthrown. And Jelani Watkins ran right by Aiden Anding like Anding was standing still and basically scooped it off his kneecaps on the run for a catch. It was one of those deals where that's the fastest guy on the field. He realized he had to go into the extra gear, and he did it. And it was a great catch. It turned out to be a great throw, and it was a kind of a highlight play of that portion. If you look at the 7-on-7 against the ones, which P.J. Woodland and Mansour Lane were the corners there, threw an in-breaking route to Xavion, as I mentioned, hit Aaron Anderson for 5 yards, then threw a touchdown to Trey'Dez Green, which was a nice throw as well. So I thought Michael Van Buren had a nice day on 7-on-7. That's very different than 11-on-11, but we have highlighted a couple of times where Van Buren has struggled a little bit in 11-on-11. I thought today he looked good. So we wanted to give that hat tip there to Michael Van Buren. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.